Hello and welcome to today's video. My name's Haley and today we're going over the 20th gift frequency of self-assuredness. This is graduating from superficiality into self-assuredness. So what does self-assuredness mean to you? What comes to mind? Or rather, who comes to mind? What kind of qualities emanate from the person who is self-assured? Kind of the first, or the impression I get actually is someone like wearing a heavy backpack with lots of heavy things, but not complaining, and leading people through like a hike from behind. It's kind of the image that comes into my head. I feel like that person would embody this gift frequency of self-assuredness. The ability to lead from behind, carry a lot of things, but like a champion, right? Like someone who knows what's up. Someone who's centered and confident, but not in a cocky way, in a very humbling way, inversely. He says, with self-assurance must come a profound surrender to life in every moment. Easier said than done. It's a must. This is not negotiable. This person must have a profound surrender to life in every moment. And I think it's interesting that he adds in the word profound here. He doesn't just say you must have a surrender to life in every moment. You must have a profound surrender to life in every moment. There's an emphasis on this concept of surrender. It's not just you surrender when it's easy, right? When you're not sick and life is seemingly peaceful. You're also profoundly committed to surrender in the sense that even when things are hard, or maybe very, very hard, you're still able to relax into the discomfort of the current situation. This is the person of self-assuredness. And the person who has this, is the reason they have this profound surrender, I should say, is because they have the wisdom of a higher frequency being. They know that life has its own plans and flow, right? They understand that there's free will, yes, but there's also some cosmic divine at play here. It's not so mutually exclusive one or the other, there's both. And because of that, they're able to kind of lean into life a little bit more than the average person who only and solely believes in free will, only in their own pride and ego. This person has the awareness of something higher. So that's important, because actually this is a theme throughout all the gift frequencies. Entering the gift frequencies means becoming aware of a divine, of a God, of a love, of a source, of an energy, of a connectivity. We talked about that in the last video. And without this awareness, one finds themselves in the shadow frequency, which is where most of the mass consciousness sits. So yes, they begin to accept that life has its own plans and flow. And therefore, with this wisdom, they stop interfering with the process at a mental level. So I'm just going to use an example, a very simple example. Let's say a person is relatively healthy and then something goes wrong. Like, let's just say they get the flu or COVID or, some type of sickness. The person who is truly embodied in the gift of self-assurance does not interfere on a mental level, meaning they don't say, oh, why is this happening to me? This is so inconvenient. I wish this wouldn't happen. Why, God? Or, oh, I can't do this, or the complaining. They don't engage on a mental level with how they feel, even though this person may very well still feel low or bad or sick or kind of under the weather. So it doesn't mean that they don't feel these things. It just means that they don't engage with the mental activity that comes along with low vibrational feelings. Whereas the person in the shadow frequency, when the sickness comes along and the thoughts arise, they engage with them. Yeah, why me? Oh, this sucks. And they make it not only a mental game, but also sometimes verbally complain and worry as well. And this is on a gradient, right? It's not as simple as you're either in the gift frequency or you're not. It's moving slowly from shadow into gift. So basically, a hallmark teller is the less you complain and engage mentally with your suffering, the more embodied you are in self-assurance, the more trusting you are in that divine flow. So essentially, this person is a master at letting go. Actually, and speaking of that, there's a book called Letting Go by David R. Hawkins, which I'm a super fan of. I love that guy. He's definitely like super enlightened. He's so jolly. All you have to do is look up his name, David R. Hawkins, on YouTube. Find one of his like 2-minute talks, and you can just like see the joy radiating off of this cute little man. And he spits like total wisdom bars while laughing. And he has some great books as well, one of which is titled Letting Go. And it has helped me a lot. You know, when I was really, really deep in the shadow, I would say I'm like climbing out a little bit now. But yeah, it really helps the person who's ready to learn how to step into a gift frequency start to take those first few steps, which are usually rooted in awareness. And then he also provides some techniques, although it is important, and Richard Rudd does emphasize that no technique can actually lead you to this gift or to letting go in general. And eventually that also must be let go. So the big irony of life. But back to this. The person who's self-assured discovers that decisions in life simply get made, and there's no point agonizing over them. So again, really important. This person does not only believe in divine will and has cast away free will. It's not that they're lazy and they're doing nothing. Remember, the title of this chapter is Divine Relaxation, not laziness. So this person does what they can with their own free will. But then when something like a sickness or a heartbreak or a death comes along, they realize that this is just a part of the game. Some decisions in life simply get made, only some. So they still have autonomy. And there's a quote that perfectly kind of encapsulates this, which I'm totally gonna butcher, but it's like, God, give me the wisdom to change what I can and accept what I cannot. Something along these lines. And this is the exact frequency of the person in this gift frequency. Help me to have the wisdom, the awareness, the energy to change what I can, right? To move in the world and use my own free will and direction of energy. Go, by all means, go chase the pursuit, chase the girl, whatever. You know, develop the relationship, but then accept the things that I cannot change. I cannot accept if my cat dies. I mean, I can't accept it. I can't control if my cat dies. I can't control if I get sick sometimes, right? Sometimes it's just literally out of my control. You know, you can eat clean, you can wash your hands, but if there's a virus going around, sometimes you just get it. So this person is surrendered to what they cannot control. And they find peace in that. They see no point in agonizing over it, which is so important, right? It's actually not so mystical, this gift. It's literally that they just see the futility in complaining. They're just kind of like, that's precious life force energy I could be using to create something or to heal myself if I'm sick. Why would I use that energy to complain? Why would I agonize over something I can't control? It makes no sense. And I really like the way he says that, right? There's no point in agonizing over them, because it kind of makes it so clear. So the first contemplation of this video is, what is something that you're currently agonizing over that is realistically out of your control, right? I listed a few options there: death of something or someone you love, a sickness, an ailment, maybe you lost your job. None of these are desirable, right? But they're out of your control. So what's something that you're continuing to engage mentally on? Why did this happen to me? Why me? Oh, this sucks. Complaining, worrying. What's something you're entangling with, agonizing with? And how can you start to see the futility in agonizing over that thing? The first step to anything is awareness, right? The first step out of the shadow and into these gift frequencies is, aha, it's actually pointless to keep agonizing. And you know what? Maybe this death of my cat was really sad, but I can see how me continuing to complain and argue with God or love or source or energy, whatever you want to call that thing, inside of you and all around you is pointless. So I'm deciding now that agonizing is futile. It starts with that simple decision. And then the next sentence in here says, decisions at a higher level of frequency are made in the moment rather than being premeditated. So this person is present, right? In order to agonize about anything, you have to be stuck in the past or in the future to a certain degree. In the true present moment, even if you're very sick, you can still find a place with no agony. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but a few days ago even, I had really bad food poisoning and I was very much in pain. Definitely engaging on the mental plane for a bit there, agonizing, complaining. And then I caught myself, and so I went into a meditation, and I went so deep into meditation, I actually, this sounds crazy, but started to feel blissful in the midst of the food poisoning. So I'm not saying this is easy to find, but it is a potential in the field, and it's something first the individual has to desire, and then through action of trying to relax, through being, that bliss naturally arises, that peace naturally uncovers itself and finds them. So yes, this person, or the more this person is embodying the gift frequency, I should say, the more they're living in the present moment. Meaning when these people do make decisions, it's instantly clear as crystal and through the entirety of your being. So what does that really mean? It means, for example, this person knows right off the bat if they want to go to lunch when their friend asks them. This person knows instantly if they want to take the job that's been offered to them. This person knows who to say yes to and who to say no to, because the entirety of their being speaks to them because they're attuned with it. They're listening, they're present. They can feel a contraction, even if it's very subtle, and they understand that that means no. They can feel a shortening of breath and they realize that means, this isn't for me. And inversely, they can feel that full-bodied yes when the body's like super stoked and is like, yeah, let's do this. Let's go to that lunch, or let's do this thing. Okay, and then as per usual, he takes us on a little left turn on how to educate children. He says that the perfect environment for children to grow happy and healthy and into enlightened adults, which, believe it or not, is all of our destined potential, is to grow up around truly self-assured adults. So what is self-assuredness comprised of? He gives us 5 points here. And so this is his kind of way of breaking down this gift frequency. I asked you guys in the beginning what comes to mind. I gave you an example of what comes to mind for me. For Richard Rudd, he says, the person who's truly self-assured, totally stabilized in this gift frequency, has the qualities of altruism, invention, innovation, detachment, and above all, simplicity. And if a child grows up around adults who are truly altruistic, innovative, detached, and simple, then they too will grow up self-assured themselves. So it could be interesting to sit down and contemplate these 5 words, which I myself have done, but for the sake of moseying along through the rest of this chapter, I will leave that to you who's watching. So yeah, if you choose to do this activity, sitting with the words altruism, like what does that really mean to you? What does it mean to be altruistic? And I would recommend running through the 5 words, first asking your own brain, what does this mean to me? And sit with it for like 5 minutes per word, and then go to Google or ChatGPT or the dictionary and say like, oh, what's the definition? And then maybe you can add or, look at the difference between what you came up with and what the computer came up with. But yeah, really feeling into what altruism means, invention, innovation, detachment, and simplicity. This makes up self-assurance. Self-assurance marks the end of the human tendency to worry about life. Really? Okay, so I read that and I thought that sounds nice. Imagine that no one ever, no one, not a single person was worrying. I mean, we worry all the time as a society, right? Like, oh, what if Jenny's late to the coffee date? Oh, what if I don't get the job? Oh gosh, I hope I'm not getting sick. What if? What if is this word that's always in the brain, subconsciously, subliminally, and also sometimes voiced out loud, right? This concept of worrying. Worrying about if we have enough money, worrying about if we have enough food, worrying about if we have the right food, worrying about if they're using the right oil at the restaurant, whatever it is. There's always just worrying everywhere. Worrying if this person likes me, worrying if my outfit's cool enough, worrying about the self, worrying about my child, worrying about my cat, like just worrying is pervasive in the current day. And he's saying that self-assurance, as it starts to envelop the globe, will delete worry. And that coincides with presence, right? Because once again, in order to worry, the mind needs to be engaged in either the past or the future. If you're truly present, there's nothing to worry about because there's nothing to think about. And so a lightheartedness comes about with this as well. A sense of humor naturally arises. This is probably why David R. Hawkins is so stoked and jolly all the time. He's just one present, self-assured dude. Because imagine if you really didn't have anything to worry about, you would be pretty silly. You'd just always be so silly. Oh, I like how he says this. At this frequency, you may begin to have the faintest inkling that you may exist at a higher level than you know. And you also have the feeling that this higher presence is actually looking after you. So this person feels so connected, again, to that divine will, that they feel so connected that they, like, well, I kind of know it's looking out for me. And that is what helps this person calm down and be so lighthearted and jolly and happy. And it's funny as I'm reading all this, because honestly, the past few days, I really haven't been embodying this. So it's a nice reminder, yeah, as I read all this, that in feeling connected, in keeping that heart space open, and being present, and grounding down into one of those 5 keys that make up this energy of self-assurance, one also just relaxes overall. You have the faintest feeling that something higher is actually looking after you. Just like imagine a little wink. And he mentions here how we like to anthropomorphize. I always butcher that word. This feeling in a whole host of ways, right? Through spirit guides, angels. I'm talking to God. I'm talking to Allah, I'm talking to Christ, I'm talking to Buddha. Like there's this personification of this energy. And then it slices it and makes it dual when really, you know, it's just our high self. We are it. It's not a separation. But humans, in order to communicate or make it logically digestible, happen to anthropomorphize and separate this connection. And if this is unconsciously, it's okay, right? If you're aware that, oh, I am saying the word Buddha, or I'm saying the word Christ, or I'm praying to God so that I can have a conversation with this energy that ultimately I am a part of, it's okay. But it's when the individual or the groups of peoples start to lose consciousness about that, and they actually think there's duality, right? They actually think it's like, no, it's Jesus Christ and me. It's actually Buddha and me. It's actually whatever, the field and me. Because that starts to create hierarchy and dichotomy, of course. Because truly self-assurance is actually your own greater nature emerging, he says. Right? It's you connecting with more of you. The small self being swallowed by the big self. And the more you anthropomorphize, right, the more you separate and talk to this and forget that it's you, the less it grows, the less connected you become to it, because you're taking it back to the realm of the mind, right? And so this is something so interesting that when I read this, I was like, oh, because I personally pray a lot, and I use the term God usually. And I try my best to remind myself, like, oh, I am it. But of course, I'm obviously not enlightened. So it's like I'm not like fully remembering that true gnosis that we're all one, trying to. And right there is so funny, right? Trying is even so silly. But the point is, the more you separate it, and keep interacting in a form of separation, the further connected you feel. And this is why the irony, once again, goes back to it's as simple as being present and powering down the mind and just engaging in the present moment. Because that's true connectivity. And in the last video, I gave you guys the activity of choosing a piece of nature, which ultimately we are nature. And that's another thing we as humans like to separate and act like, oh, nature's the trees, the birds, and the plants, and the bees, and I'm me. It's like, no, we're actually one. And so a great way, once again, to come into awareness of this oneness, of this connectivity, is to utilize that activity that I offered you in the last video. That gets you out of the realm of the mind and into the now. A whole new level of awareness starts to function in the person who is truly self-assured. Right? Because this person's not in their mind. They're not engaging on a mental level. They're engaging on a mental level less and less, I should say. To not be engaging on the mental level at all would be someone who's in the acidic frequency, which we'll get into the next video. So essentially this person is just meditating with their eyes open as they navigate their day. They can witness the mind without getting caught up in it. They have the continual feeling that everything is going to be all right. Oh. And this relief is provided once again through that feeling of connection. Through that feeling of, oh, there's my will, and then there's God's will. There's free will, and then there's an orientation out of my control. And oh, if it's out of my control, why try and control it? And they see that as a relief, not as a detriment, right? Whereas the average person, when they find something they can't control, they get upset and they agonize over it. This person's like, oh, cool. I can't control it, which means take it away, Penny. Not my job to take care of this thing. This part of life's out of my control, so let me focus on what I can control. So they're putting all of their energy, their precious life force, on what they actually can move and make in the world. And that which they can't, they see as a gift that the higher self is taking care of for them. And they see that as a relief. Something I don't have to think about. My mental energy is not needed here because I can't affect this realm anyway. And in relief dawning, the heart opens, right? These are two energies that go together, relief and heart opening. Relief, heart opening, and truth, really, like a little trifecta. They allow life to move them. And so what's actually occurring in this gift frequency, and this is a little woo-woo, so take it or leave it, he's saying that the solar plexus begins to take over the mind. The solar plexus, for those who don't know, is the energy center, like right, you can't see on the camera, but like literally right below the breast area. This is the solar plexus energy center, and it's taking over this mental region. I won't get into it too much, but the solar plexus is very revered in ancient yoga systems, and yeah, it's seen as kind of the powerhouse. And it's all based upon surrender. This is also where the free will, they say, emanates from and is generated. And so the main difference, if we're using this analogy, is the person who's self-assured is using this energy center where the free will for the energy for the person comes to surrender, whereas the person who's in the shadow frequency is using this energy to forcefully assert themselves through free will only. So essentially, the person who's self-assured has the wisdom to know that surrender is much stronger than free will solo could ever be. And again, I really just feel like that quote I said at the beginning wraps it up so perfectly. The person who's self-assured is surrendered, and surrendered is, God, give me the wisdom to control that which I can, and let go of that which I cannot. Along with that energy comes just a natural trust, again, in that divine will, and a patience for the things that maybe I can't currently control or maneuver, a patience with those things. And the last thing I'll leave you guys with is self-assurance is based upon a philosophy of allowing everything to come to you rather than going out and chasing life down. Allowing everything to come to you. The girl, the job, the success, the abundance, the health. Relaxed, right? This person's relaxed. Everything's coming to me. I'm not chasing it down with my forceful free will. I'm not expending all of my energy and exhaust and fighting nature's flow. So yes, stay tuned for the next video. The sun went down, so it's a little dark in here now. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this most recent Gene Keys video. I just wanted to come on here and announce the website that I built called remodelU.com. And it's all about helping ladies heal from eating disorders, body dysmorphia, severe and chronic anxiety. I myself, if you're not familiar with my story, used to be a full-time model and have firsthand dealt with all the atrocious byproducts that come with these mental disorders. And it's so much more than mental, right? It completely takes over your physical 3D life. Gosh, I remember not even being able to go out to dinner with friends, just like so much anxiety, counting every single calorie, overworking out to compensate for the food I'd just eaten, and it started to take over my entire life. I myself embarked on a healing journey, and after a few arduous years of that, I finally feel like I'm in a place to offer the wisdom I have downloaded through my own experience to any lady in need. So if you struggle with any of this and you're curious to know more and potentially work one-on-one with me, you can check out the website, which is linked in the description below. On there you can find more information and book a free 20-minute intro call to see if this resonates. Sending you guys so much love and aloha. Go eat some good food today.